Well, hello there. This is Mr. Steffen. Today, for your Foundations of Technology class, we're going to be talking about um, problem solving. And I'm going to start off with a story because I'm a sleepwalker, and sometimes I wake up in another room. I'm walking around all over the place. Who knows? Um, and the other day, I woke up and I'd parked my car in the tree in the front yard. Don't ask me how. I do it in my sleep. I don't know. Well, but either way, this is a problem. And this is what we're going to be talking about today because we all are problem solvers naturally. When you wake up in the morning and you can't find your toothpaste or you're out of toothpaste, you have to think through steps of how am I going to get more toothpaste? That is if you brush your teeth. You either go to the store, get some more, or go to the other bathroom, whatever you do. And so we are all problem solvers. And so we need to start thinking of, and technology wise, how are we going to solve problems strategically to help advance and to make the world a better place. And so the definition we're going to be using today is problem solving is used to satisfy people's technological needs and wants. Just like this guy getting my car out of the tree, he's satisfying my need for a car and my want to get to work, or get to school, and to teach you. And so we're going to talk about two different sections of problem solving to start with. First one is there's problems that need to be solved. And then the second one is there's opportunities for improvement. There's problems and then there's opportunities. And the opportunities don't necessarily mean that there's a problem. It just means there's something, somebody wants to improve upon something. And so for a technological problem, we're going to say that a technological problem is something that needs to develop tools, machines, or systems. That's an important definition. You might write that down. And so a problem would be you have these people communicating through these cans a long time ago. That is not very good communication. It's very slow. And so somebody developed a machine of this telephone. Here, this is one of the first telephones. And so it solved the problem. How do we actually communicate across long distances quickly? And so then opportunities for improvement. There's technological opportunities. An improvement within technology is where, for an example, well, this doesn't mean you're necessarily solving a problem. Let's look at this welder. And the machine he's using looks like a wire welder, which is very common. It's been around for a lot of years. Well, then let's look at these robots, these orange robots here in the corner. And these robots are using the same type of welder, wire welder, as this man in the picture. And so the welder machine, the wire welder, has not changed. When they put the wire welder on the machine, they weren't inventing a new or solving the problem with the welder because there was no problem with the welder. They were just adapting it to make it faster and more efficient. And so, and all these problems like me getting my car out of the tree, going from the telephone, the two cans to the telephone, going from the hand welding to robot welding, there's all strategic steps that need to be taken. Just like if I'm going to get my car out of the tree, I'm not just going to go lasso it and pull it out. I'll probably get crushed. My car would get crushed. I might get arrested. There's a lot of steps that need to be taken so that we can do things safely and efficiently. And also, if somebody else parked their car in a tree, they could look to me and say, Nick, how did you do this? And I can tell them step by step the process I went through. And so then I'll just look back at all the steps and think through how many years it would take to get from one of these steps to the other. And they're still improving these processes. And so it's kind of neat to think about. And so now we're going to talk about 4 steps. Some people say there's more steps. We're going to use 4 to simplify it. First step we're going to use is to identify the problem. Then we're going to develop solutions, then evaluate solutions, and then we're going to communicate solutions. So we start with identifying the problem, developing solutions, evaluating solutions, and communicating solutions. Now to go into more depth on these, identifying the problem, what does that mean? That means describing the situation. We have to describe, with my car in the tree, how high is it off the ground? How heavy is the car? What's the weather like outside? There's a whole list of things that we can use to describe the problem. And then gather background information. What time did this happen? And what kind of car is this? What are the rules and regulations for lifting a car out of a tree? There's a lot of things that you need to think about, but just to identify, is this really something that needs to be solved? So in a way, it's kind of like identifying the problem is just using your natural ability to observe, just like observing you don't have toothpaste in the morning. That's identifying the problem. And then establishing criteria and constraints. We have to recognize that there's certain rules and regulations that we have to follow. Say, if I'm going to block the road to get a crane to take my car out of the tree, then I'm going to have to call the police or the city or someone to know what the rules are to block the road. If I'm going to launch a rocket into space, a toy rocket, I'm going to have to know the rules and regulations so I don't hit a plane. There's just all kinds of rules and regulations that are criteria and constraints that we need to understand before we move on with the problem-solving process. In developing solutions, when you're thinking through different solutions, you have to develop more than one solution. Nobody's first idea was ever their best. You can all think of Thomas Edison went through 10,000 or 1,000 different prototypes before he came up with a light bulb. The guy who made the Dyson vacuum had 5,000 prototypes made, and they didn't develop a great project from using the first idea. And then isolating and refining the best solution. You have to be able to cut out some solutions you don't want to use. You have to be able to say no to some solutions and pick which ones you think are the best. And then this is where we start sketching and drawing our ideas. Kind of those drawings you've been working on in different classes for different projections of images and on AutoCAD, engineering drawings. All those things are important to developing solutions because they give us a visual of what we want to do. In evaluating solutions, we want to model and test the best solutions. There's a lot of times where you cannot, like say with my car in the tree, you cannot just stick another car in another tree and test how to get it out. You have to create a way to model and test your solutions before you can actually solve the problem. When they went to space for the first time, nobody had ever been to the moon. And so they had to simulate what it would be like to be on the moon, even though they'd never been there. And then select the best solutions. After you've modeled and you find out some aren't going to work, you have to just pick one solution that you're going to go with. And then compare solutions to economic, technical, production constraints. There's all kinds of constraints, but if you don't have enough money then to solve the problem, then it's not viable to use that option or solution. Or if nobody produces the part that you want to use, then how are you going to use it? So there's a lot of constraints we have to consider when evaluating which solution you're going to use. And then communicating the solution. You have to be able to interpret the solutions through engineering drawings, build materials, spec sheets. If you cannot communicate your idea to someone, then so that they understand, so they can see what's going on, then nobody's going to want to use your idea. And then present solutions for approval through written and oral reports. This is where your English classes and your public speech classes come into effect, because if you've ever seen the show Shark Tank, where people present their ideas to a board who's going to fund them, they have to be great communicators. They have to be able to clearly explain and show why their idea is best. And if we can't do this effectively, then we might not ever get anybody to choose our ideas. And so, as we go on with problem solving and thinking through these steps, I want you to continue to think about in your everyday life how you solve problems, and start processing through how, if you use these steps and you're diligent at using these steps, then how you can solve problems more efficiently, more accurately, and how maybe more people are going to be willing to use your ideas. Thanks for your time.